the show into
Yes,
preview. I
can
always
both.
forget to do that. I don't know why. I have to learn these different shots. Oh, and we can stream the audio too. Oh, right. And I need to tweak that setting because I've figured some things out
It has been tweeted.
with Icecast, which is what our server is. That is an amazing, see? That's what we want. Exactly what we want. Trying to get the mice under control. Okay, and you just did that?
Yes.
You just did that. Thank you. There it is. What episode is this?
13. Lucky number
13.
13.
That's creeping me out. We don't have our music or anything to do there. I like what you did with this shot a lot.
I'm glad.
This looks really good.
I like it.
This looks really good. I don't know. How do you think this mic, now that I have it back in the middle? I feel like it's good. I feel like it's better.
I like it like that. I think it looks really nice.
What are you on, 3? You're on 4? Or are you on 2? Okay, you're back on 2.
2.
All right. Because now we got that other shot for the guest. Now, when we have a guest in there on that spot where you're going to have, you know what? Somebody complain. I want to add someone complained about, but I'm going to save it for the real show.
Okay.
I'm loving this angle right here. That's a really good shot. That one.
It's just a little bit and I will say because of your new monitors and the way that they are, I think that opens up the way that you can see more.
Yeah. All right, we'll figure it out.
If you feel hidden behind the monitors.
I feel hidden behind the mon. No. Did you tweet it?
I did.
All right.
And it's in preview.
I'll retweet it. Matt Howie says he's going to put pants on. It's optional.
Pants optional. No one will know if you have pants on or not.
Okay. 6 p.m. Friday. It looks like I'm going to be, there's something happening with me on the air.
On this air?
No.
On another air.
On someone else's air. All right. Are you ready?
I am ready.
March 23rd. This is the Dan Benjamin Hour for March 23rd. I am Dan Benjamin, and it's Monday, and we're really late getting started on this. And Hattie, unfortunately, today I can't blame you.
No,
it's not your fault. It's all my fault. We were working on some things, getting some things set up in here. The new time for this show is actually 11 a.m. East Coast time, which I think is a pretty good time.
I like it at that time.
And this is our new room shot. If you're watching the video, we moved everything around. This is people who want to know the inside baseball stuff. This is a little GoPro camera that Sean McCabe, aka Sean West, recommended we get. And this is hooked up to our rig. We don't have it on the full wide setting. The full wide setting was too wide.
It was a little bit of a fisheye.
Yeah, too much of a fisheye. It was a lot of a fisheye.
Right.
But we've made some other changes here. Hattie has set up this new shot of me. And what I did is we've got this rack. We call it the monolith, the Tower of Power, that you can see behind me here if you're watching at home. And by the way, we do video. We do video and we stream it live at danbenjamin.com/live. You can also subscribe to the video where you get to see inside, behind the scenes, the inside baseball view, we call it, the behind the scenes view of us recording this show. It's not a TV show. Let's be clear. There are people who are kind of upset, and I got some feedback from somebody. I'm trying to adjust my mic. I feel like that's better.
That better?
I think so. And he wrote in to say that I watched 1 minute and 30 seconds of this, and it was just you guys setting up on the video.
So I turned it off.
Unsubscribed. 1 star. Well, it's inside. It's the inside view. It's the behind the scenes view. So in this shot, you can see, if you're watching the video, we put the Tower of Power there. And you can see all the little lights lighting up. It's very exciting.
Seeing you talk into it.
I feel like stuff is happening in that shot.
Woo.
So tune in to see the shot. Also, this morning or earlier today, I got so angry at the blackboard, I ripped it off the wall.
I came in and I just saw you just ripped it right off the wall. The whole thing.
I wasn't like really angry like the Hulk.
No,
but I was fed up with it. I got tired of it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way it was in the shot. So I ripped it out. And I said, great, now there's all these holes in the wall. So what are we going to do about that? And I put some more sound paneling up, which we've been complaining that we needed.
We do need it.
Getting some slap back.
Still pretty bad.
It's not that. Well, we got the curtains. We got the sound panels on both walls.
The couch off.
We got to put a ton of... Anyway. I feel like that's what I just should do at the start of every show as people warm up to the show and warm up to the idea of being on board. That we just talk about things we've changed in the studio. And when we're not changing anything anymore, I can get right to the important stuff, get to the news and that kind of thing. But I think this is what people tune in for. I think they want to know. But I finally got more about this. Finally got these screens set up the way I like. I can do a show. I'm so relaxed.
Good.
Can you tell? Do I seem relaxed?
Yes, you do.
I'm so relaxed. I can finally do the show I was born to do. I've got the microphone is set up in the right place. I've got these screens all right here. I don't have to keep looking over here like this to adjust one thing and looking over here like this. And poor Matt Howie. Poor Matt Howie. I pity Matt Howie. He'll be on the show later today. He was ready to go, I think, at noon.
He was ready to go at 8 a.m. Pacific.
8 a.m. Pacific, he was ready to go. And it's 5:21 our time now. So long-suffering Matt Howie will be here on the show to talk about I don't know what. But I would love for you folks to check out the video and just tell me what you think of this show. And for those of you who've been rating it on iTunes and subscribing on iTunes, it makes all the difference in the world. So thanks for doing that. It's the best way you can support the show. Now on to some news. Oh, and thank you, Hattie. We only have only two sponsors this week.
I narrowed it down for you.
But we might have a surprise third sponsor coming in.
Really?
Yeah, it's the COFFEE thing.
Oh, right.
If that pans out.
I don't think that'll be, but not for this
No, he wants
episode.
it this week. Not for today.
Oh.
Unless he emails me back. If he emails me back during the show, then it's a go. I'll do it. I'll throw him one day for free because it's a startup.
Also, we need to give Mark a shout out now.
Mark Oliveri. But
yes.
No, we got to let the details
pour in.
Come in.
Okay.
Yeah, look, he wrote me back.
Oh, good.
He says, sorry, I don't know what DBH is. Well, that's all right. And I launched and then immediately ended a Teespring.
Oh.
I didn't know that by uploading an image, I was making it taking it live.
Oh,
but
and
once you
got
upload a thing, well, I didn't get scared. I have to make sure I have the deal worked out with the artist. Because that's the details that you have to have before you start selling something. Well, anyway, listen, I have a whole bunch. And you know what? The Vox, not Vox, Verge, rather, is doing a whole bunch of new, they're doing some, all kinds of new things with their property. That is the Verge.com. And Neiman Lab, which looks like a site that's been around for a very, very long time, and also I've never heard of it before, has an interesting article about The Verge. At first I thought this was Jessie Char, but it's totally not her.
No, that's not her.
This is my next step, how The Verge wants to grow beyond tech blogging. So there's a neat little piece on this, a puff piece, you'd call it, where they're talking about what is the future of The Verge. It was a great website, kind of came out of Engadget in a way. The people came from that and left it and went on to create what I think is an even better site. But what they're saying is they're going to be going deeper and talking about more things, not just about tech, but they're going to be doing what I think. And listen, I don't want to take credit for the whole internet here, but I think they're basing their decisions, what they're doing on Vox and The Verge, they're basing it on what I'm doing on this show. If you think about it, I'm not taking full credit. I'm taking most of the credit for what they're doing there, because we talk about entertainment and media and cars and sports and things like that. We talk about all that here on this show. Coincidentally, now the Vox, they're starting to talk about it. I'm just saying I see a pattern. I see a connection. You're going to have to decide for yourself if I'm right on. But this is a really great piece that talks about what they're working on and how and what it means. Really long piece. It's a puff piece. But Nilay, I asked him if he'd come on the show. He has yet to respond. He's a friend of mine. He's a friend of mine out in New York, Nilay Patel. Very smart guy. I removed the bracelet from his wrist, and I took his sunglasses off, and I wore it the last time that we were on The Verge, when The Verge had a separate sort of media area in a certain part of, I don't know what part of New York that was. But it's really exciting to see them doing something new in that space. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they will actually do. There's a couple other links that I just kind of want to jump in before we get Matt Howie, because I know he's got a limit on his time. There's an interesting piece, Hattie, that you found. This is why you shouldn't believe that exciting new medical study. This is by Julia Belluz, writing for Vox.com, the parent company of The Verge. What really jumped out, this is a long piece that I won't read here, but she writes about how year after year there are these amazing announcements that come out, medical studies that prove something or disprove something over and over. But if you really look at these, and they did a really great graph. Here's an example. Everything we eat both causes and prevents cancer based on an individual medical study.
That's the greatest image there.
It's kind of small on the screen. We'll see if I can bump this up a little bit in a way that will make sense for people who are watching at home. Should go there and look at it. The links will be in the show notes, 5by5.tv/dbh/13. But they show how one medical study shows that wine protects against cancer and also causes cancer. Tomatoes protect against cancer and also cause cancer. Tea protects against cancer, also causes cancer. Milk, eggs, corn, coffee, butter, beef. Now, there are a couple more tests or studies that show that beef causes more than protects against. But the fact is, if you're buying into any of this stuff, you got to take all of this with a grain of salt. You got to think about this very carefully. More often than not, a single study is going to contradict another single study. The truth, they say in this article, can be found somewhere in the totality of the research. But all of the reporting that's done on this stuff is done in isolation. Flip-flopping headlines. Red wine will add years to your life. Then the next week, red wine will kill you. I can hear you typing.
I'm sorry.
What is it that you're working on when you're typing?
Doing lots of things, filling out descriptions.
I think during the show, I know it's a big commitment for you to be here.
That's right. It's a huge commitment.
Huge commitment for you to be here 5 hours a week. But maybe during the show, instead of writing is it a thesis you're working on?
Yeah, it's my thesis on medical studies and why you shouldn't trust them.
Oh, so you're just taking notes.
Just taking some notes on that. I thought I'd add that to my, section 39. Yeah.
I like that you're doing that, and I encourage adult education, continuing
education.
I'm sorry. Yes. But perhaps you could engage in the adult education, outside of
adult education. That sounds shady.
Adult education's where you go back to high school later, get your GED or something.
Yes, it's not something else.
I like this room shot.
Me too.
The little GoPro camera, because it shows it's like a behind the scenes view of everything. Just of the curtain. A lot of people asking, what's behind your curtain?
Would you want me to show you?
Don't show it. No, just describe it.
Just the wall.
Just the wall. Why do we have a curtain up then if it's a wall?
A, it helps with sound. Mm-hmm. B, we had the curtains. And C.
Well, you had the curtains. Might as well use the curtains.
Right. And C, it helps give a little bit of a background instead of just photos
just a plain
and
white,
things like that. Yeah,
plain white wall.
Right. The other walls are colors, but this one is all white. So
this looks like, for those listening and not watching, the curtain is a luxurious red velvet curtain. That's actually 4 or 3 other curtains on rods that we found at Home Depot for $4. It's it looks real. Hold on, let me show. Look at the big shot.
It looks very legit.
It looks really legit. Like it looks great. Like the curtains would peel. All we need are big golden ropes going in front of the curtains that would look like, and
or
it would
velvet ropes to keep people out.
Yeah.
I just rope it off right here and then rope off right here, and then no one could come into my space.
It's amazing what we can do with these cameras that we have in here that our people on Patreon bought for us. I'm leading up to something. I have a big topic today. And I'll segue into it with this talk about Twitter. Twitter is facing a class action lawsuit for gender discrimination. A former software engineer says the company's promotion process favors men. Favors men. And this is something that I think has to be very, very frustrating anytime a story like this comes out, because I think on the one hand, at least I am very ready to believe this kind of thing as soon as I hear it, because I've seen so much discrimination against women in the workplace, especially in technology. I've seen it firsthand, working at different companies. You know, I grew up as my mom was single mom, single parent, raising me, and she was a teacher. And I think in academia, I don't know what the split is. Like, is it mostly women? Is it mostly men? I don't know. But I don't believe she ran into a whole lot of that in the workplace, because I think there were a lot of women there. But I noticed, growing up, I never really heard, and I'll have to ask her about this, but I never really heard stories of like, oh, I can't be promoted because I'm a woman. I mean, she was eventually the chair of her department. So she worked her way up and was able to be promoted pretty much as high as you get in that career, in that particular thing, without moving into like some kind of president type role or something. She was like the chair of her department. And I never really heard about, oh, I can't do this because I'm a woman. But I knew that as soon as I went into technology, I learned about that, and I was very surprised that there were women who were working in the next cube over, at the next desk over, who were constantly running into that they felt that they couldn't move into higher positions, better positions, or they would get paid less. And that was such a surprise to me, Hattie. It was a shock to me learning that.
I found a study on, I believe it is edweek.org. Yeah. They did a study in 2011, so It's a little bit dated, I would say. But they took a survey, and the demographic profile of teachers in the U.S., 84% were female and 16% were male.
No kidding. Does it say the level? Like, is this in college, or is this high school, or just teaching across the board?
Let me see. Because that's K through 12.
Okay, K through 12. Mm-hmm. In a way that makes sense, because like when you think of like a school teacher, like school, like K through 12, don't you think of a woman? Like if I were to just say the word elementary school teacher, that's not a word, but if I were to say elementary school teacher to you, do you think of a man or a woman in your mind? Just
a woman.
Woman.
Yep.
I wonder if it's the same in college. I wonder if there are more male or female
professors.
Professors.
I might look that up.
Yeah, look that up.
Let's see if I can find that.
Anyway, in this article, it says it's a class action lawsuit been filed on Thursday in San Francisco by multiple Twitter employees, but it's Tina Huang. The suit alleges that Twitter relied on a black box style of promotion wherein employees are notified of open positions via a mysterious shoulder tap process. The fraternity-esque promotional style takes the place of any formal job postings. You know, when you get into a big company, I remember this back when I worked for a telecommunications company that had thousands of employees in it. We were required to post the job internally before we went outside to go and do it. So like we had to post it internally. It would have to be there for a number of weeks before we could then go looking for someone outside the company. And this says promotion into Twitter's senior technical positions is based on subjective judgments by committees that are comprised of and dependent on upper management at Twitter and predominantly male. These judgments are tainted with conscious or unconscious prejudices and gender-based stereotypes, which explains why so few women employees at Twitter advance to senior and leadership positions. If that's true, that's a despicable practice. Despicable practice. I you know, the more you learn about Twitter, the more you think they're a crap company. You know that?
Yeah.
Every day, the more I learn about Twitter, the more they seem like a crap company. And I like Twitter a lot. And so it sucks. I remember when Twitter was like a handful of people. And I knew the top people. I knew the top people in the technology side of Twitter. And back then, it seemed like an awesome company. It seemed like an awesome company to work for. This is back in the Fail Whale days title. You know, it seems like things have come so far as the company has grown. And when we went there, Hattie.
Yes, we did.
To the last time we were in San Francisco, we were in there, right? And I mean, they had these amazing cafeterias. It was just you go up the steps into another cafeteria.
It's a very grand experience when you go there. It's legit.
Really impressive.
It feels like you're on government property in a way.
Yeah.
They're very secretive.
Yeah, everything was secretive. Everything was locked down and locked up. But the way that things seem behind, and look, who knows what this is until this really gets brought to court and the facts come out. Because here's Twitter's comment. They say that Huang left the company on her own terms. Ms. Huang resigned voluntarily from Twitter after our leadership tried to persuade her to stay. She was not fired. Twitter is deeply committed to a diverse and supportive workplace, and we believe the facts will show Ms. Huang, hope I'm saying that right, was treated fairly. Had to see if you can get Ms. Huang on the air, and also a person
on the air immediately.
Not now.
Okay, but for later.
See if you can get her and a Twitter spokesperson on, and we'll have a live debate here on the show.
Okay.
We've got 2 Skypes, so we'd get 2 people.
Yes, we can.
Do you think they'll even say yes? Do you think we'll even hear back? No. Of course not. But I don't think they need to take this to court. I think they take it to this show, and I will decide.
This is like
I will
render court.
And you know what? I will render my decision based on what I hear during the course of this show. And it's an idea. I'm throwing it out there. They're going to have to go along with it or not. I'm saying I think they should do it. 9 years ago today, the Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey posted the first tweet ever. I don't know. You know, who knows? It's tough to say. But if you're going through, as a woman, if you're going through the trouble to put together a lawsuit like this and bring this kind of what I think is going to be very potentially very negative attention on yourself from everyone at Twitter, everyone who, you know, coming off the heels of Gamergate.
Right.
So much negativity out there right now. You've got to be serious about this. You've got to believe that this is the real deal. You've got to believe that you're in the right. And I don't know. I think it's a big deal. Now, there's a story before I get Matt Howie on that I want to talk about. I'm hoping he's listening live.
I think he's in the chat room right now. So
I'm going to lead up to I'm going to do a spot. I'm going to hit you guys with this story. I'm going to bring Matt on because very few people, I think, alive in the world know as much about online communities and being online and interacting with human beings online as Matt does. Because he's run Metafilter for the last 37 years, 42 years, I can't remember. Before there was an internet, he was running a community, was just using slips of paper that he would hand out to people in his neighborhood. And that was the original Metafilter, was just little Post-it notes. Did you know that?
That's crazy.
That's true. He can talk more about that, but what I want to do this spot, and then I'll do this other thing. Let me tell you about Lynda. I'll drop a marker for you, Hattie.
Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by Lynda. Lynda.com, it's spelled with a Y. Why? Because she can. Lynda.com is you like that? You're laughing.
Yeah. It's her name.
The online, it is her name?
I believe
She's
so.
a real person, Lynda. Lynda.com is the online learning platform with over 3,000 on-demand video courses to help you strengthen your business, technology, and creative skills. They're going to give you a free 10-day trial if you go to lynda.com/DBH. Lynda.com/DBH. Lynda's for problem solvers. It's not for the kind of people who like to take a back seat in life. If you're the kind of person who likes to get home from work, you want to sit there and watch a movie and not advance yourself, not advance your career, not learn anything, fast forward through this ad. It's not for you. Seriously, go ahead and hit the fast forward button. If you're the kind of person who likes to let other people drive the car, likes to just sit and find out, where the bus is going because that's where you're going, don't bother. Don't go to lynda.com. Lynda.com is for winners. You maybe jot that down. Hey, we can send that over to them.
I'm writing it down now.
They could have that right underneath the name, where it says Lynda on the website.
Right, and it just says
for winners.
Got it.
It's not for losers, and I'll tell you why. It's for people who have curiosity. It's for people who have a curious mind. It's for people who want to learn how to do things. For example, how to build a website, or how to use Microsoft Excel like a champion. Do they have a course called Excel, like Excel for Champions?
Like a champion?
Excel for Champions. It's just an idea. Oh, it's Excel 2013 Power Shortcuts. They could work on the name. I think it should be for winners, but they could call it whatever. Growth Hacking Fundamentals. Foundations of Color, up and running with IFTTTTTT. I found a tremendous amount of value recently when I was in the hotel the other night. I was up really late. I wanted to fill the time, because I find sometimes in a hotel I don't fall asleep right away because it's different pillow, a different bed. Something is a little bit different. So how do you combat that? You watch TV? Losers watch TV. What winners do is they go to lynda.com and they learn about Adobe Premiere and how to edit video in Adobe Premiere. It's a good thing to do it late at night or very early in the morning if you're in a different time zone and you don't know what to do with yourself and you don't want to just use Twitter. You download this stuff on your iOS, Android device. You can make playlists. You come back, watch it. You can watch every single video that they have, 3,000 of them, during that free 10-day trial. lynda.com/DBH. Go check it out.
We should do a shout out, very small shout out.
Okay.
To Lauren.
Oh, to Lauren.
Lauren, feel better.
Feel better soon, Lauren. We love you, Lauren.
Yeah.
I hope she listens to this. I actually love Lauren.
You love her?
Yeah. I don't know her all that well, but I feel like I know I love her, and I know if I knew her
you would
better, I would love her.
Okay.
If I ever had met her in person, I would love her. I'd like a sister, though.
Right.
Let's keep it clean. Have you ever heard the term swatting?
No.
Okay. I had never heard the term swatting before, but this was done to, I need to talk about my Lil Wayne dream.
Yes, first.
I tweeted about my Lil Wayne dream. I had a dream that I was at a party and I was hanging out at the party. I think I was playing Xbox at the party. And
sounds like a fun party.
It was a cool party. It was like, and we had snacks and everything was there. And Lil Wayne came. He rolled in. This is not my party. It was someone else's party. I don't think I could attract the likes of Lil Wayne to my parties.
If you just invited him.
If you just invited him. Like, I think you can pay to have them go to a party. But I didn't. So in the dream, it was someone else's party. Lil Wayne shows up. And he's got some of his crew and stuff with him. And he sits down on the sofa where we're playing Xbox and stuff. And I was talking to him about it. And I think, like, it was time for him to head out or something. So we did the fist bump, where you fist bump, and then what I do with my kid, we'll fist bump and we'll blow it up like that. So you bump and blow. Can we reach? Boom, like that. See how we blew it up? So I blew it up with Lil Wayne, and then he's like, no. Where'd you learn that? And I said, well, my 7-year-old son, that's how he likes to do it. And he's like, all right then. Well, let me show you some alternatives to just blowing it up.
What did you learn?
I don't remember. That's the thing. It's like there were so many things, but the minute I woke up, I was like, oh man, I met Lil Wayne the other day, and I was, oh man, it was just a dream. I thought that was real, but it was just a dream. In fact, I hadn't met Lil Wayne and learned the other techniques for the fist bump, title fist bump.
Fist bump.
And so it was a bummer. And I tweeted about it, and Sean King's response is, Dan, you are so white. And if anyone's whiter than me, it's him. So I don't feel like he's got the right place to say that. But anyway, a practical joke was played on Lil Wayne. Did you hear about it?
No, I did not.
Okay. He was swatted. So swatting, apparently, is when it's a practical joke. But to me, practical jokes sound like something fun that you would do, like for fun. These are not fun jokes. It's swatting.
I've never been a fan of like practical jokes.
I don't like any kind of practical jokes. I'll tell you, someone played a practical joke on me, I guess. It was really stupid. It was his car. He had a 1970, this is a HDH. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He had a 1976 Cadillac Sedan DeVille. And he had to go run an errand. He was going into the gas station to, fill up the gas, and he went in the gas station to pay and to go get some Cokes. And he came back out. This is his car. I'm sitting in the passenger seat of his car, 1976 Cadillac Sandeville. Great car. And he came running out. And for some reason, I don't know why, he had just bought the Coke. He was carrying a Coke in his hand. And he goes and he chucks it right at the car, at the window, thinking it's going to like scare the crap out of me. It's going to hit the window, explode over everything.
And, yeah, like a shaken up Coca-Cola will
right, but it was in the you know how you get like a big gulp. It's like a big gulp.
Yeah.
But I had the window down.
Oh gosh. And he couldn't see that?
He was so excited about his joke.
Right, he was prepared.
He was doing it whether, he was going for it. But I didn't have the window up all the way. I had it like halfway. Because it's hot. It's Florida. It's hot out. So what am I supposed to sit there with the windows up and the car off? Are you nuts?
Yeah,
doing that. So he comes running out. He smashes it in the thing. And the way he threw it, the big gulp hits the half-open window. It explodes and sprays over the entire interior of his whole car. It's all over everything in the car. And on me. I mean, I wasn't happy about it. But he was 6'5", so and I was probably 4 foot tall at the time. I don't know. Not a tall guy at the time. And even so, he was a few years older than me. It's not like I was going to pick a fight with him. That would have been a foolish maneuver. But I wasn't happy about it. But the fact is, it was way worse for him because it was all over the entire interior of his car. It got on everything. And it became this awful, sticky mess. So practical jokes are bad. That's where I'm going with that. But swatting is worse than a regular practical joke because what happens is you find somebody who's either famous or something like that, and then you call, please don't do this, you call the police and you say that something terrible has happened there. For example, here's some of them in this article. Like what happened with Lil Wayne. You call and here's what happened. Okay, a false report of a shooting at the Miami Beach home of rapper Lil Wayne. So what happens? The police show up with their SWAT vehicles, hence the name swatting. They show up with their SWAT vehicles, and then they like bust the door down and storm it and like make people like lay on the ground and handcuff them until they realize that it's a prank call and nothing has really happened. Because look, what are the police supposed to do?
Well, and you know that they're going to take stuff like that seriously.
Of course.
It's actually messing more with the police.
Well, I mean, it's traumatic. Imagine if you've got, a family and you're sitting there with your kids, at night, like reading books, and the police bust in and like,
yeah, that's scary.
Start, or if they say but it's really bad what they're doing. It's always like, oh, there was a shooting, or we saw people using drugs, or we saw child abuse happening. Like the police are going to take that very seriously. Well, now it's going into like it's focusing on, of course, gamers now.
What's with the gaming community?
I don't know.
Confused.
I want to ask Jeff Kanata about that because it sounds like really terrible, but here's what it says. It says gamers appear to have easily, this is an article in New York Times, gamers though appear to have easily overtaken them as swatting victims. They're among the most avid live streamers around, so much so that Amazon bought the favorite broadcasting service Twitch last year for $1 billion, but they're plagued with this stuff. Because what happens is someone will be like playing Twitch on like a game on Twitch and broadcasting it. And then like there's this guy's name, Mr. Eubanks. He has 386,000 followers on Twitter, and he regularly schedules live streaming games on Twitch and like competitions and stuff. And what happened to this poor guy, he was playing the game, and then I guess people who wanted to prank it and thought it would be funny. This happened to a different guy, Mr. Peters. Okay, they said he shot his roommate. And after defusing the situation, police came.
My gosh.
Like, arrest. All this happens on camera because he's like on camera doing this.
Oh,
he comes back to his live stream.
Down your controller.
He goes back to his live stream and and like talks to the people like he's upset. He's in tears. He's like, what did you do this for? Like he did. Like, why would you do that? It just doesn't make any sense. It's crazy, swatting. And they actually, like you were saying, Hattie, it is bad for the police. They said that it's enough of a drain on local resources that Will County in Illinois has proposed state legislation that would require defendants found guilty of swatting to pay back municipalities for calling on emergency responders.
I like that.
Swatting victims say they've been able to prevent repeated raids at their homes by asking the police to note in records available to emergency dispatchers that they are likely targets. Swatters use text messages and online phone services like Skype to relay their threats, employing techniques to make themselves harder to trace. The more technology we get, the harder it is to deal with this kind of thing. Well, let me get Matt Haughey, because Matt Haughey, he's sort of the king of online communities. I think it's safe to say. I'll turn on our headphones, Hattie. Matt. Hey, Matt.
Hello.
Hey, there you are. How are you?
Good.
Well, what's going on with you? Let's start with this, because I want to catch up with you. It's been too long since we talked.
Sure.
But I want to catch up with you. Have you been listening to the show live or no?
Yeah.
What do you think of this? You're the king of online communities. Is it safe to say that?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, you invented online communities. You started Metafilter in 1974. And back then it was just slips of paper that you would hand deliver in your Red Ryder to your friends in the neighborhood. They would write comments and you would redistribute it out to your other friends. Is that the accurate? Am I reporting that correctly?
Yeah, sure. For the joke. Yeah.
Yeah. No. What's the real story? How did you start Metafilter and what's the background on that? Because I want to talk about that. But I don't know how to jump into this. I mean, first tell me what your take is on this. I mean, is this something that you've seen happening a lot? And why do you think this is okay? Why do you think people think this is funny?
Oh, the swatting. Yeah. The swatting, I first heard about it maybe 5 or 10 years ago, and it was a direct violent action.
Really?
The whole point was to get the police showing up somewhere with guns drawn, and the guns drawn part was the important part.
Really?
So they were. It was a real like this is beyond doxing. This is beyond stalking. This is. I mean, like 5 years ago, I heard of a few swattings where, I mean, the whole point is to try to get someone murdered by police.
Murdered by police? That's the point?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that was the old way. So, like, I think the Twitch video, I guess there's, I mean, I posted a link to the Reply All episode about swatting. It's really good because they interview a few people. And they talk about there's like supercuts now of Twitch videos of cops busting down doors. So I think this is a problem, right? This is a major problem. It's less of a like wishing murder on your friends or people you hate, and it's more like just a massive inconvenience. But there's a technical loophole in that they're like using Tor networks to like sign on to a Skype phone with a free account to make these calls, and they're essentially untraceable. So like that really is the problem here that's allowing this to happen. I mean, it's kind of like a big disgusting thing, but you can basically get out of it pretty easily.
Out of any kind of fault for this? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like you got to go at Skype, which is Microsoft. You have to, court order them to get some records of probably IPs, which turns into Tor IPs, which are just random and crazy, and really hard to track down.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that in running Metafilter, you have seen and dealt with abuse of some kind, right? I mean, Metafilter is known, I think, for being, I don't want to say a safe place because, there is really no such thing, but as a place full of people who really do care. It has a reputation for being a place where people care, people who are moderating, which included you for a very long time. But people who are posting there are very considerate. If I had to make a generalization, very considerate, very smart, very concerned, and very helpful overall as a community. So I'm sure you probably saw less of it there than people see of it on Twitter or something, but it's not the same. But what do you think? I mean, is this something that you guys ran into a lot and had to deal with a lot?
Yeah, I mean, so people are probably generally nicer, but we're kind of famous for having a few trolling types of people too. Um, and we've had like a very minor version of this in that there was a post about, I think it was about the New Mormon Church website or something a few months ago, and someone like called the Mormon, like you could just you could enter your address like into this Mormon site, and like a couple guys on with ties on bikes will show up, within a couple days, and so they requested on like quote unquote like I guess the person who always has an opposite opinion in every they did this to a user, and I was super frustrated trying to go through like the Mormon organization to like request the web team to like dig up an IP for me because I knew it was coming from someone in my audience, which like crushed me and like scared the hell out of this person, and like it just sucked that like the laws are so far away from like the state of technology that it's really hard to make sure there's consequences for this stuff. I mean, it's really frustrating watching like the internet for the last year has been so lousy because of, Twitter and Gamergate, and like I can't believe that Twitter doesn't, take action on people, posting real threats. Like I wish they'd just make an example out of someone, put in the extra legal effort. I think it would, they're probably just crabby 15-year-old kids making, thinking
well, and that's, joke, but see, like, that's the thing. And I was thinking about this the other day. When I was a teenager, I used to drive. I didn't speed all the time, but I sped, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't really understand the impact that even a minor traffic accident, which, by the way, I did stop speeding and I never got in an accident because of it, because I was lucky, I guess. But I completely stopped that. And you know what? Like when you have kids, like if you get an fender bender, that's completely screws up your life, your kid's life. Let's say nobody's hurt. Just a screwed up bumper that you got to go get fixed, right? That screws up your life, your kid's life, your spouse's life. Like, forget the money part of it. Just the inconvenience of now having to deal with this and get a loaner car and move the kid seats into it. The time that you're going to spend of doing all this. It's like something that some teenage kid does can have such a dramatic effect on, and because, Matt, you're right. It usually is like teenage kids. It usually is somebody who, why? Because people who are a bit older than that usually have lives and they're working and they have things to do. I'm not saying that there's no 40 or 50-year-old person doing this. I think there probably is. But a lot of the time it is kids who are suddenly finding themselves with tremendous power because of the internet. You have this power to completely disrupt, but you still have the emotional level and judgment level of an incredibly immature teenage mind. But you have all the power of an adult, and more power than most adults ever had.
Especially if you're anonymous.
Yeah.
You aren't that nerdy 15-year-old kid. You could be anyone.
Right.
And that, I think, that you could be anyone is what really powers them.
For sure. There's no accountability there.
Right.
There's no accountability because you're anonymous and they can't find you and they can't do anything to you and they can't address it. And there essentially are no consequences for that. And we've built this incredible connected social world that we all live in, but yet there are no consequences for doing the wrong thing. Just like there aren't that many rewards for doing the right thing. There are so few consequences for doing the wrong thing. And in many cases like this, like what we're reading about here, swatting, there are rewards in many cases for doing the wrong thing. And how do we change that? How do we fix that, Matt?
Yeah, I guess technology. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's always hard to handle anonymous speech in any sort of system. And like the 911 system has to treat every anonymous bit of info it gets as truth. Because you don't want to get like a swatting wrong on the flip side where there actually was one and you thought it was a joke.
Yeah. Nothing would be worse than that, right? I mean, nothing would be worse than having calling in to report a crime that was happening that you saw and saving someone's life, and of course the police are going to respond to that. They have to respond to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would wish, I guess, Skype would get tighter on this, like don't allow people to join from Tor networks, or be more forthcoming with local police forces. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough to support anonymous in a system that doesn't also support abuse accidentally. So like, I couldn't say, well, actually, what I just said could be wrong. Like, an Edward Snowden type should be able to use Skype on a Tor network
Yeah.
because he wants to remain, untraceable and anonymous. But, it also allows these other terrible things to happen.
Right. I mean, and there is definitely a big, and I think legitimate interest or desire for people to be anonymous. I know more people who are concerned about their privacy and concerned about violations of their privacy than I know people who say, oh, I don't really care about it. I don't really care about privacy. I don't really care if people know the sites that I've looked at. Most people do care. Most people want to try and preserve their privacy and make the things that they do essentially their own business. If you go into a library today, if you went into a library 50 years ago and went and sat down and read some books and put them back where you found them, there would be very little, if any, record of what that you did, what you read, what you were researching, what kind of threat you might or might not be. But today, if you were to go and read something online, because we don't really go to libraries very much anymore, we read things online. The time we used to spend in a library is now spent reading in a web browser, and that's probably okay.
I think people read more because it is so easily accessible.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Okay. I'll go along with that. So, no, I mean, it's a good point. But so we're reading things online, but those things can be traced. And more likely than not, if you're reading something in your house, that those records of what you looked at could be subpoenaed for some reason or another. And that history of things that you've looked up could be discovered, perhaps on your computer, perhaps elsewhere. So there are people who don't want that. And I don't know what they're reading that they don't want. But you know what? Maybe they're not reading anything that's bad. Maybe they're not reading anything that they just simply don't want anyone to know what they have been reading because they consider it to be their personal business. Maybe they're not reading about how to make bombs. Maybe they're just reading about, their favorite childhood story. Who knows? But they maybe don't want that public. It's like I was talking about last week. I was making some Yelp reviews, and I guess I log into Yelp with my Facebook account. And as I was making the reviews, it was posting them to Facebook. I'm fine with that. I just don't necessarily want all of my Facebook followers to read the bad review I gave of Ironworks Barbecue in downtown Austin. But I didn't care. Like I was putting it in a public place, on a public site. I don't care. But it just shows that interconnectedness of things that people aren't even necessarily aware of. And now you have, like right now, Matt, you've got streaming is having its day, man. It is having its day right now. Everything is to be live streamed. Everything. You've got, what are you meerkatting your life right now? Like every moment of your life?
No, I have. Man, Meerkat has kind of a lousy experience so far in that I think I've seen live video once in trying to use it because everyone will post their link and turn it off after a minute or two,
right.
And the link still is in their Twitter, and yeah.
Yeah, because I think of Twitter almost, and maybe you do too, almost like email, in that you can go and you can see what your friends are doing, and you can respond to them and jump into a little conversation that they can respond to while it's happening or a day later, and Meerkat is you get the two bracket live now, and then you see that thing. Well, if they only do it like you're saying for a couple minutes and you get back later, it's gone, and yet all of these live now links are sitting there, and there's no archive of anything. And if you miss it, you miss it. But the tweet never goes away; it stays there forever. So I guess you're not meerkatting. Are you going to be meerkatting this new chapter of your life? First, okay, listen, tell me about Metafilter. You're not doing Metafilter the way you were anymore. And this is a big change for you.
I'm
this
hanging
huge
it
change.
Up after 16 years.
Come on, what's up? How did that happen? Why?
I think the last couple of years have been not so great. Like the ad revenue was tanking and we were having to make cuts, and it was it was, not super fun. I mean, we sort of did a lot of work to shore everything up so we didn't lose more money. But in general, things had been on a slow downslide, and, it was just a bummer to work on and put, 40, 60 hours a week into. And at the same time, like big companies, once in a while, every 3, 4 months, would call me and ask if I like wanted a job, and I'd always be like, I'm fine, or once in a while I'd take an interview for the heck of it, just if it was a product I really liked. But yeah, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do forever. And in 16 years doing this, it's like 30 or 40% of my life has been spent on this. I'm 42 years old. Will I just do this forever? Like, is what I've asked myself. And so, like, in one of the, putting feelers out, and some of the people I talked to, it was a product I liked, and I just tried to figure out a way to make, working on something else be possible. So it worked out. It's been amazingly smooth. I sort of left the controls of the site with the long-term employees. Almost everyone's been there since like 2007, so they know everything forwards and backwards. So basically gave them the keys and took off and joined Slack.
So that's big news. And Slack is like the thing now. Everybody that I talk to, instead of like, I'll say, hey man, how you doing? Oh, are you using Slack? Like, they don't tell me how they're doing it. They're just, everyone uses it. So, I mean, why do you think that there's so much buzz right now around Slack? Obviously, it's a great tool. I've used it. We've experimented with it. But I know people who have literally said, we don't use email anymore. We don't use Basecamp anymore. We don't use IM anymore. We're just using Slack. Like, how can this thing, and how do they sponsor right now? Is this?
They're not.
Not, okay. So how, seriously, like, how is this one application, this one service, such a definitive answer for everything right now? And is that a big part of why you went to go work with them?
Well, yeah, I saw it in my own life that I like this app a lot. And I think what people are raving about it is the kinds of things you were touching on, which is like, this is the first time people have seen email culture in their company change. And I think that is probably a huge thing for a lot of people. I'm starting to talk to companies about how they use Slack. And I mean, overall, everyone talks about reduced email, but there's a couple standouts where basically the email load has gone to near zero for a company, which is amazing. And I mean, if you think back to like 20 years ago when old people like me first got email, like, you got one a week, and then suddenly it was one a day, and then a ton a day, and then you had a job in the web industry and you're getting 20 a day, and then 100 a day, and then inbox zero. And it's never gone down really, email. I mean, it's gotten a little less important maybe, but people love email. And so, I mean, this tool is amazing among, a billion other things it does well. But if you just go all in with your company, all your communications on it, the designers are throwing mock-ups in the design channel, and the, accounts people are throwing Excel spreadsheets of projections in their channel, and everything's available. Like, you don't need to email each other about things, and it's just like wickedly useful.
So it kind of brings together the instantness of IM with kind of the discussion, but in a way, I mean, is it a little bit like if we had made IRC really, really smart and good a long time ago? I mean, is it kind of, if you think of it in that way, and just exploded out into the kind of needs that we have in a company like today? I mean, is that a reasonable starting point for somebody who hasn't used it and doesn't know what it is?
Yeah, I think so. If you're familiar with IRC, this is like really well done business IRC that's easy to use.
Yeah.
Looks nice. You don't have to memorize a bunch of commands. But it's just, I mean, it essentially is, for people to understand what IRC is. It's basically like...
Yeah, how many of us are left who actually understand IRC anymore? But so this is neat. And was it hard for you though? I mean, I've read, the different posts you've made in Medium and elsewhere talking about Metafilter, talking about what you were doing there. I mean, I remember, when Dan Cederholm and I built Corked, and it kind of grew faster and in ways that we hadn't really anticipated. And neither of us really had the time to devote to it because Dan had his full-time practice and I was also working full-time. So we kind of sold it. And there was this feeling, I know this feeling anytime that I've worked on a project or been really involved in a company where I was really invested in it in one way or another and then left it, where there's just there's emotion involved. It doesn't sound like you were like, screw Metafilter, I'm done with that crap. It sounds like it's still a big part of your life in a way, right? Or it was for a long time.
Yeah. It probably took me 2 or 3 months to come around to think about it seriously. I was actually interviewing with another company who really wanted me to make this happen, like leave Metafilter and join them.
Yeah.
But it wasn't something I'd loved or used for years and years. So I wasn't super into it. But it took me months to come around. And I think I've always been kind of humble about, I don't put Matt Haughey Presents Metafilter anywhere on the site.
Right.
Like the people that are part of it know that I was the guy who set it up. I don't make a big deal about it. And I understand that like I don't feel like I own 100% of it.
Right.
Like when you build a successful community, I mean, at least half of that is the people who brought themselves to it to make it interesting. And you can do the best design work you can. So, I think it can. So that was also the thinking over the last 3 or 4 months was like, this is way bigger than me. It's not all me. Maybe I had some of the long-term product vision parts. That was kind of what I did the last few years. But, I thought, this is possible. I would love to see the site, introduce a feature I don't like. I think that'll be when it's complete, that I'm totally not in charge and it's gone beyond me. But yeah, I'm okay with it.
You're okay. I mean, you sound okay with it. And I think that's,
one of the biggest rewards was turning off all my like automatic server emails and update emails and contact and support box and joining Slack. I literally get like 2 emails a day at the most, and it's amazing. In like my total inbox, complete highest priority inbox. Like
what a difference for you. I mean, what 40, a huge difference
50
for you.
Actionable emails a day to like 2.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Wow. I remember one of the things I think the last time you were here in Austin that we got together, we were walking down South Congress and we were sort of, I was sharing stories with you. You were sharing stories with me about running a small business and the challenges of it. And I was telling you some of my problems and you gave me some great advice back then. And the advice was figure out the things that you like. And I've shared it on this show and Grit many times. You said, think about the stuff that you do in a day that you don't like to do and find somebody who likes to do that and hire them to do it. And it seems like such obvious, because I was saying, what should I hire? Should I hire an engineer? Should I hire a producer? Should I hire someone to help with sales? And your answer was so simple and clear. And I'll always remember that. I appreciate the advice. And, but it's like you're full of that kind of wisdom. So I think Slack's lucky to have you.
Well, I mean, that's what I was thinking about at the, at my advanced age of 42.
Right. We're the same age, by the way.
Well, like, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? Will I be managing people or creating stuff or building products? And, I just sort of want to pick a new path and this worked well with it.
Well, congratulations to you. I think it's a big step and it's something that you certainly deserve the reduced email, if anybody does. You've been on the hook for it for a long time. Thanks so much for being on the show for a little while and chatting. And I look forward to seeing what you do over at Slack. Thanks again.
Cool. Thanks.
Take care.
Glad to be here.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
He's like the nicest person on the internet. You've met him, right? You met him at XOXO.
Many times. Yep.
Great guy. Best of luck to him.
Matt Haughey.
Matt Haughey. Usually I ask people where they go, but I don't want to hold him up anymore. I know he's running short on time. You can follow him on Twitter. And it's funny because his name is spelled Matt, like M-A-T-T, Haughey, H-A-U-G-H-E-Y, but he said people always get it wrong. People always get that wrong. So his Twitter name is Matt, M-A-T, Haughey, H-O-W-I-E.
It's
Matt
phonetic,
Haughey.
I guess.
Fully phonetic. Speaking of phonetic, 5-4 Club. It's spelled F-I-V-E-F-O-U-R. And you can go to get54.com and you'll save some money. Let me tell you about this. I think, you know what would be fun, Hattie, this week? I'll wear 100% of my clothes. I'll wear from 5-4.
I like it.
100% of the clothes. They do a great job. And most men hate shopping. I mean, I do. And that's okay. 5-4 can help. They're a contemporary apparel brand that came out of Los Angeles. Cinderella Boy, Tear in His Eye, from 2002. And they have a 9-step profile. It takes less than a minute. You basically pick, they show you some pictures of some shirts. You know, I like this one and this one. This is some jeans. I like this one. Show you a jacket. I like this one. Now you're done. Your profile's done. And then they will start sending you clothing. And the clothing that they send you will be valued at $120. You will pay $60. This is true. $60 a month, you get 120 bucks or Birks worth of clothing. And if for something doesn't fit perfect, simple. You send it back, they send you the right size. It's that easy. And you get your own referral code. It gets you $15 off your package for every friend you refer. It's not a pyramid scheme. They just make really great clothing. They cut out the middleman, and they send you really, really great clothing. If you're thinking to yourself, $60 seems fair. Can you do any better? The answer is yes, I can do better for you. I can save you $20 off your first box. Make it $40. How's that? Dan 20 off. Dan 20 off at get54.com will save you $20 off your first box. So go check them out. Get54.com, Dan 20 off. That's how you do it. How do you do? You don't know about this yet.
I did not.
You see that?
This is cool.
What is it?
Layout from Instagram. It's a new app.
Yeah, well, I was going to talk about Cash.me.
Which we have both signed up for.
We signed, and I paid you back. You loaned me $5 for parking last week.
Yep.
And I paid you $5 back over the Cash.me.
It was so fast and easy and completely instant. It was awesome.
They're great.
It's kind of surprised, actually.
Try to get them as a sponsor or interview.
Okay. Deal.
One of those two.
Or interview. Greg, do you hear that?
Yeah, Greg, seriously, get on it. They're great. That's from, from great people who've been building some really, really great products for a long time. I want to talk about Cash.me before we talk about layout. Basically, you go to Cash.me, and this is the Square folks. Did you know that, Hattie? This is Square folks.
Yes, very cool.
And they have something called cash tags, which I love. And you basically go and you sign up. You use their app. You sign up, and you create your own cash tag. Mine is Dan Benjamin. So if you wanted to support the show, you can do it on patreon.com/5x5, or you can go to it's linked up on danbenjamin.com under the donate section. But I think a lot of people are going to be able to use this for getting donations, for supporting like their podcasts. But you can also do simple things like, oh, you know what? You're sitting down to a meal and your friend's like, oh, let me get it. No, don't get it. But I don't have any cash. But I don't want you to pay for the whole meal. How much was the meal? Oh, it was $20. Here's $10. Boom. You don't even know them on cash. They can do nearby. It sees who's nearby. You pay them nearby. It's done. It's easy. This is like a spot for these guys.
I'm thinking about like a tagline for them. It's like, what is it called? Just cash? Is that what they're calling it?
Cash. I guess
Square Cash.
But it's Cash.me.
Square Cash. It's okay to forget your wallet.
I like that.
Or forget your wallet on purpose.
Send
so
that
you
in.
Can use us.
Send that in. I, for some reason, when I was signing up for it, it said, are you a business or individual? I put business. I don't know why I put business. But what I found out, you can do checks, you can do wire transfers. Essentially replaces all of that stuff.
Oh, wow.
You don't need to do that anymore. You're paying someone internationally. You don't have to worry about it anymore. It's called Cash Pro. Then you get this profile. You can link it up on your website. People can donate or pay you that way. This is nuts. This is the best thing in the world. Well, there's also, not to be outdone, Instagram has come out with Layout. And Layout is a photo collage app. So if you ever go on Instagram and you see those like collages of...
It's like 4 pictures in one, right. Or like one large one and then 2 smaller ones, but they all fit into a square so nicely. I used to use an app that was not anywhere near as good as this, and it was Pick Stitch, I think. That was like the only one that was out there. But this, immediately deleting Pick Stitch like right now.
And what's do it right now. What's neat about this is that the app, when you launch it, I need a little shoulder cam or something.
Or you can use the head strap that you got for the GoPro.
Well, I'd have to take the GoPro off. True. I was thinking get a camera right up here, like a crappy web camera. Hang it from like a string from the ceiling.
A string, okay.
Or string. And you hang it from the ceiling so it's right about here, like hanging.
Or it's just clipped onto your chair. How about that?
Yeah, or hanging from the ceiling with a string. And then I could just hold my phone up like this and switch it, and it could see if it was hanging or something.
Or clamped on the desk.
Yeah, or just with a string. But what's cool about this is before, you would have to pick a layout. So that's what you had to do with the app, like the app that you're using.
I'm deleting it right now.
Oh, you don't have to be crazy.
I'll be dramatic. It's gone.
Oh my. Well, layout lets you choose the photos first. You can pick 9 different photos right now to put into your collage. And then you can decide how to arrange them once you've chosen the photos. That's better.
Yeah.
It's so smart. However, no borders around the images. So if you like the borders, don't delete PicStitch or whatever. But you can move around the photos. You can hit their little replace button and I think this is going to be really, really cool. What's interesting to me, though, is just like Hyperlapse, which makes sense to me as a separate app. They're not just adding this feature to Instagram. It is a full separate application. And it's very cool. So go check that out. That will be in the show notes. The show notes can be found, again, at 5by5.tv/dbh/13. The reason that I don't give the danbenjamin.com URL is because I should just standardize on the URLs and get rid of the crap at the end of it and just go to a number. What do you think, Hattie? In the danbenjamin.com URLs. That way I can say danbenjamin.com/dbh/whatever.
It is easier to say.
Go to danbenjamin.com/dbh/13. That will be the URL for this episode. And I've got, there was a couple other links. I'll just mention them. Twitch accounts were compromised, everyone's. So all the passwords have been reset. So go reset your Twitch account.
Maybe that was in response to swatting.
I don't know. I don't think so. There are a couple of links in the show notes, but about this particular article, I'll delete the extra ones if you're looking at it live. But the NFL that we all know and love, will be streaming their London game worldwide. Now, let me explain the London game for people who aren't big NFL. What is the London game?
I know that certain football games are played overseas, and it confuses me.
Why do they play the London game in London?
Because it's the London game.
They send 2 teams that nobody cares about to play a game that nobody cares about in a place that no Americans care about.
No Americans London. That are watching football care about.
Who doesn't watch football?
That's very true.
And no offense to the Brits in the audience, but most American NFL fans don't really care that the game is played in London. They don't know why the game is played in London. They don't necessarily think that it's cool. And the teams that they send to London are not the good teams. They're the teams that, for example, the October 25th game, that's when they'll be playing it from London, will be the Buffalo Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a game that doesn't mean anything to anyone with 2 teams that nobody really cares about. But they will be playing it in London. The different thing about this, and I'll tell you why they played in London, but the different thing about this is that you're going to be able to stream the game anywhere in the world. Anybody who wants to will be able to stream it, except for the local markets. The local markets for those 2 teams will be on local broadcast TV. Because the NFL wants a worldwide audience. They want people to be interested in the NFL outside of America. Now, here in America, for those of you outside of America, and for those of you who are all sports ball, which I'm not, by the way, but if that's your take on it, the NFL is the biggest, most popular, and most lucrative sport in the world, at least in America, if not in the whole world. world. It's not in the world. I think soccer or football, as everyone else calls it.
Football.
Well, NFL wants to be football everywhere else. Because if you look at worldwide, the most popular sport, in the real most popular sport, is soccer. Everyone loves soccer. Except here in the United States, soccer is something that just little kids play. I mean, there are some adults playing soccer.
Or that you coach.
Yeah. Or that you drive your kids to in your soccer mom vehicle. How do you actually have a soccer mom vehicle?
According to many people, apparently a Volvo XC60 is a soccer mom car.
It is, yeah.
I just thought it looked cute and sporty.
You got it so it would be easier to take your kids around town and to their games.
Right, all of my children.
And they're serious about soccer, and I know you take them to karate and whatever else, and that's why you have the car. It makes sense for you to have that vehicle with your active family life.
Yep, my family of, HEB reusable bags. That's all that fills the back of my car.
Well, it makes sense for you to have it.
That and dirty mugs from this office.
But I think the NFL wants it to be that. And I don't know if there's something uniquely American about the NFL, if other countries would like it, but they keep doing this thing in London every year, year after year, and I don't know why they do it, but they're doing it again. But the interesting thing is they haven't announced what the streaming service is going to be. They've announced that they will announce it later. So there you go, NFL. I know you're all fascinated about that, but I want you to be. I want you to be aware of this huge culture that by being a geek who uses the term sports ball, that you're actually missing out on something very important. Because if more geeks were interested in sports, we'd be able to innovate that in better ways. Innovate it, right?
Like, it's so they're not doing well right now. Everyone's using a Microsoft Surface on the field.
Come on.
Like that. Come on, help. Use your, you may not like it or whatever, but just be like, you know what, this is something that I can improve.
Yeah. Because look at what happened in movies. As soon as geeks get into control of the movies, what kind of movies do we have? We got Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Right.
We get, we get X-Men.
Mad Max.
We get Mad Max, a new Mad Max movie.
You know what? Even
these are geek movies.
Geeks are already in the makeup industry. They're 3D printing makeup. Like, if you can be in the makeup industry, go ahead and just move into the sport. It's not that.
Let's disrupt the sports industry right here.
Yeah, disruption.
The directors of Captain America, the Winter Soldier, are taking over the Avengers franchise. Joss Whedon stepping down after Age of Ultron comes out in May. But who better than the Russo brothers, the Hollywood Reporters, confirming that Joe and Anthony Russo will be taking on both parts of Avengers Infinity War. They're going to be directing this thing.
I like the monitor arms that they have.
Yeah, I was looking at that too.
I like those.
For those who can't see what we're talking about, now the screens that they have connected are these really high-end, like video editing type screens that have all the SDI inputs and stuff in the back. But they're on these really hardcore war-looking monitor. You can't really see in this shot, but I finally got my monitor set up. I've got 3 screens in front of me.
Just kind of tilt the GoPro shot. You can see them.
Can you see it a little bit better? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of sideways, but those are the 2 screens off in the front there.
And you got the one on the side.
And then this one on the side.
That's on a different arm than the other ones.
Yeah.
2 Ergotron
These 2 are on the
and 1
Ergotron,
Uplift.
and this is on Uplift arm. All of them are very good arms. And I can finally, so on this screen here, I can see the stuff that we were talking about, the news, notes, show notes. I'll have that. When we do calls, I'll have the call screen on this. On this one here is the switching with Wirecast. And on this one here, I've got Logic, which is recording, and I have the KVM on that one so I can switch to the different guests. You in the streaming machine. Is that all right with you, Hattie?
I think that's perfect.
Okay. I think that's all we've got for today. We'll be back tomorrow at our morning time. Right before, I'll go right from this show, right into Back to Work. Back to Work's at 11 our time. I'll be doing this show at 10. This is the regular time, 10.
That means, everyone, that we have to start on time.
Yeah, we'll be on time. So if you want to tune in live, we record the show every day except Mondays right now because Andy is at 10.
Yes.
But every day except Monday, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, and you can go all the way back to 8 a.m. Pacific time. You can listen to the show live on your free 5x5 radio app, so you can listen to it while you drive, or you can just go to 5x5.fm in a browser, and it'll stream there. If you don't like typing 5x5 because you don't like typing letters or numbers, rather, that's okay. Go to danbenjamin.com/live, You can watch the show there. We stream it live video, and there's also an audio stream. We got you covered no matter how you want to come in there. We're working on some cool T-shirts, Jackals T-shirts and things like that. It'll be coming out soon. And we're going to start taking calls. We've been experimenting with an update to the call-in system, which is going to be a lot of fun. So we'll be taking your calls. And everyone who calls into the show will win something.
Everyone?
Yes, every single person. If they do the right thing, where they call up and they say their name and how many hours of sleep that they got. That's what's required. And they will win something, everything from, and when you have that reaction to something that you're reading on your screen,
yeah,
it does frighten me and it does disrupt the show.
I have very animated responses.
It looked like someone shot a little poison dart out of the screen into your neck, and I didn't get it on camera. I wish I had.
I know.
But you will win, and what you can win is everything from like a bacon magnet or a jackal sticker, all the way up to Hattie will visit your town, and you can have a nice dinner with Hattie, which shows that she's not listening at all to what I just said.
I am listening.
So anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. I sure do appreciate it. Thank you. I know, Hattie, thank you for being here. I know it's a big commitment.
A huge commitment, but I'm glad I could make it today.
Were you ever able to find anything about ratio of professor, male, female?
No, not about the professors.
We will, and if you're listening at home and you can find out, we'll do that, or we'll do that as follow-up. Hattie, that's your assignment for tomorrow, to have that information ready at 10 a.m.
Perfect.
You got it.
Got it. 10 a.m.
What's at 10 a.m.?
Tomorrow, the show, and we're going to talk about the professors.
Oh.
You said what's at 10 a.m.?
You seem very into your computer today.
There's just a lot happening.
I mean, I could probably get another, like an intern or someone to sit in the
No.
producer chair that you're in right now. If you don't like it, I know it's a commitment. I don't want to take you away from your email or Facebook or whatever.
Right.
Instagramming, whatever you do.
Yeah. No, everything that I'm working on is extremely important.
Oh, I know. No, I don't doubt that. I just know I don't want to take you away from it by having you on the show.
Yeah.
Hattie does do a lot. Pretty much runs. If you're wondering who she is.
Yeah, like who is this lady?
This lady over here she pretty much runs the whole business side of the operation to make sure that we get paid. So thank you for doing that. But I'm saying, if you want to do that, you'd rather focus on that than be on the best show on the internet. That's cool.
This is the best show on the internet, and I love being here.
Oh, whatever you want. I mean, it's your company. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. and hope you have a good day. Thank you again, and for everything you do. Go check out our sponsors, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a good one. It's the audio that counts. Yeah, I'm so happy about these screens.
Yeah, I like them like that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's all there is. See you tomorrow.